The large classroom fell silent as Professor Zextroll walked in. His 4 arms carried teaching materials while his yellow eyes scanned the room. 6 students from different alien species sat at their desks, ready for the first day at the Galactic Academy of Military Strategy. "Welcome to Advanced Interspecies Conflict Studies," Professor Zextroll said. His voice was deep and commanding. "This semester you will study a topic most teachers avoid." The students looked at each other with curiosity. "Your special research project will focus on the human question," the professor announced. Kernash, a large reptilian Drozak with armored skin, made a snorting sound. "Humans? Why waste time on them? They barely have space travel. Their weapons are like toys compared to ours." The professor's eyes narrowed. "Is that what you believe, student Kernash? That humans are banned from galactic war because they are weak?" The classroom grew even quieter. "That is what all our textbooks say," said Silvor, the analytical Vrikian with silver skin. Her 6 fingers tapped nervously on her desk. "Then your textbooks are incomplete," Professor Zextroll said. He pressed a button on his desk, and a hologram appeared. It showed the Earth, a blue planet that seemed ordinary. "The Galactic Council's ban on human military participation is not because they're weak. Your assignment is to discover the real reason." Elira, the blue-skinned Melfian known for her diplomatic skills, raised her hand. "Professor, if the textbooks are wrong, where should we look for answers?" "An excellent question," the professor said. He handed out small metal cards to each student. "These will give you special access to the military archives. Most of this information is classified." Orby, a quantic with glowing circuit patterns on his gray skin, examined the card with his tech-enhanced eyes. "These are high-level clearance codes. Is this legal?" "I have special permission for this project," Professor Zextroll explained. "But be careful. Some secrets stay buried for good reasons." The scholarly tesseract named Phi Lumen floated slightly above her chair, her transparent body showing swirling colors of excitement. "What specifically should we look for, Professor?" "Start with the term, the Terra incident," he said. "It appears in many war records, but the details are always missing." Zara, the rebellious Giltari with chameleon-like skin that changed colors with her mood, turned a deep purple of suspicion. "Why tell us this now? The ban on humans has existed for over a century." The professor's face became serious. "Because, student Zara, the Council is considering bringing humans into limited military roles. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it." As the students left the classroom, they didn't notice the small drone following them. Nor did they see their professor send a secure message. The students have taken the bait. Phase 1 complete. That evening, the 6 students gathered in the Academy library. They inserted their access cards into a terminal far from prying eyes. "Let's see what's so special about these humans," Kernash said, still doubtful. The screen flashed with a warning. "Classified military files. Authorized DP Horizontal only." Then the files appeared, but large sections were blacked out. Only one phrase appeared repeatedly across the documents. "The TERANCIDENT. Hafulol CONTANMENT active." Silvor looked up at her classmates. What did these humans do that scared the entire galaxy into silence? "We need to find someone who was actually there," said Elira, as the 6 students met in their shared study room the next day. "The archives don't tell us enough." Orby's fingers moved quickly over his datapad. "I've been searching military records. There's an old Krethnar veteran living on this station. Commander Voxtil. He fought in the last conflict that involved humans." "How do you know?" asked Kernash. Orby showed them a military medal record. "This is a Proxima Centauri campaign medal. The dates match the Terra incident references." The students found Voxtil's home in the lower levels of the station. It was small and dark. When they knocked, a gruff voice told them to go away. "Please, Commander," called Elira. "We're students from the Academy. We need to understand what happened with the humans. For our future. After a long silence, the door slid open. A massive four-eyed alien stood there. His gray skin was covered in scars, and one of his forearms was missing below the elbow. Students shouldn't dig up old wars, Voxtil said, but he let them in. The commander's home was filled with military items and medals, all except those from one campaign. When Phi Lumen asked about this, the old veteran's eyes darkened. Some memories don't deserve disciplining, he said quietly. They sat in a tight circle as Silvor carefully asked about the Proxima Centauri campaign. At first, Voxtil talked about normal military matters. But when Zara asked directly about the humans, the room grew cold. I was there, the commander finally said. We thought it would be easy. The humans had only 7 warships. We had over 300. His 4 eyes looked distant, seeing something from long ago. Their ships were primitive, their weapons basic, but we didn't understand. Understand what? Asked Kurnash. The commander looked at the young Drozek. Have you ever seen a cornered animal fight, boy? How it becomes more dangerous, not less. Voxtil stood and walked to a locked cabinet. He opened it with a key he wore around his neck. From inside, he pulled out an old communication device. This has the only recording I kept, he said. The message the humans sent before the battle. He pressed a button, and a human voice filled the room. We don't want this fight, but we'll finish it. What happened next? Asked Phi Lumen. They fought like nothing I'd ever seen, Voxtil whispered. They took damage deliberately to create openings. Their ships did maneuvers that sacrificed their own people to gain advantages. It made no sense. Did they win? Asked Orby. No one won, said the commander. But they should have lost in minutes. Instead, they held out for days. And when we boarded their vessels, he stopped, his hand shaking. What happened? Asked Elira gently. Their soldiers kept fighting with fatal injuries. One human killed 6 of my squad with a broken arm and a knife. Voxtil's voice cracked. He was smiling. As the students left, they saw a shadowy figure watching from across the corridor. When Zara moved toward it, the figure disappeared. Someone's following us, she said. But why? Asked Silvor. We're just students. Maybe we're finding things we're not supposed to know, said Kurnash, suddenly serious. Back in their room, Orby made a suggestion. We need to see humans ourselves. I know how to get to Earth without permission. That's against Academy rules, said Phi Lumen. Do you want the truth or not? Asked Zora. They looked at each other, then slowly nodded in agreement. Welcome to Earth, said their human guide, Marcus Chen. He smiled at the 6 alien students as they walked out of the spaceport. I understand you're here for a cultural exchange program. Yes, said Elira quickly, before Kurnash could speak. We're studying diverse species' social structures. They had used their study funds to book passage to Earth, disguising their trip as an approved cultural project. None of them had seen a human up close before. Marcus looked ordinary. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin without scales or plates, and dark hair above his friendly brown eyes. This is Neo Shanghai, Marcus explained as they boarded a transport, one of Earth's largest cities. The students stared at the buildings and streets filled with humans going about their daily lives. They seemed peaceful, even cheerful. They look so normal, whispered Orby. What were you expecting? Asked Phi Lumen. After what Commander Voxtil said, maybe monsters, admitted Orby. Their first stop was a large building with white stone columns. This is the War Memorial Museum, said Marcus. Important to understand our culture. Inside, the aliens froze. The walls were covered with weapons, battle maps, and images of human conflicts. Children walked through the exhibits, listening to guides explain battles fought centuries ago. You show war to your young? Asked Silvor, shocked. Marcus nodded. History shouldn't be hidden, especially the painful parts. They moved to a section about space conflicts. The students tensed when they saw Proxima Centauri defense on a wall, but the display was small and vague. Later, they visited a large field covered with white stones in neat rows. "What is this place?" asked Zara. "Arlington National Cemetery," replied Marcus, "where we honor those who died in military service." Phi Lumen floated closer to Marcus. "Why do you honor war dead so prominently?" Marcus looked at the endless stones. "To remember the cost of conflict, to avoid repeating our mistakes." He paused. "And to remind ourselves what we're capable of when pushed too far." The way he said those last words made the students uneasy. That evening, they went to a public library. While Marcus spoke with the staff, Orby accessed historical records about Earth's military history. "Look at this," he whispered to the others. "Humans call it asymmetric warfare, when a weaker force defeats a stronger one." "That's impossible," said Kernash. "Military power equations are absolute." "Not for humans," said Orby. "Their history is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones through unusual tactics." Silvor pointed to a battle record. "This human force was outnumbered 10-1, yet they won. How is that possible?" When they returned to their hotel, Zara noticed something wrong immediately. "Someone searched our rooms," she said, her skin turning a worried yellow color. That night, Silvor couldn't sleep. She looked out the window and spotted Marcus speaking with two official-looking humans below. They wore dark uniforms with insignia she didn't recognize. "He's talking to authorities," she told the others the next morning. "I think he knows why we're really here." "What do we do now?" asked Phi Lumen. Kernash, who had been quiet most of the trip, finally spoke up. "We follow him. If he's hiding something, I want to know what it is." "Could be dangerous," warned Elira. "We came for answers," said Kernash, "and I'm starting to think the answers might be dangerous too." The next morning, the students followed Marcus from a safe distance. He walked to a plain gray building with no signs or windows. Guards checked his ID before letting him enter. "That's not a university building," whispered Orby. "Military or government, based on the security." "We need to see what's inside," said Kernash. Zara's skin changed color to match the surrounding area. "I can get close without being seen." The others waited anxiously as Zara crept toward the building. 20 minutes later, she returned, her skin flickering with excitement. "Marcus used high-level security access," she reported. "He went to a lower level. I heard someone call him Major Chen." "He's military," gasped Elira. "He lied to us." "We need to get inside that building," said Silvor. That night, they returned. Orby connected his datapad to the security panel beside a side door. "Their system is more advanced than I expected," he muttered, his circuits glowing brighter as he worked. "But not impossible." The door clicked open. "We have 2 hours before the security system runs its next check," Orby warned as they slipped inside. They found an elevator that required a special key. Phi Lumen phased her transparent hand through the panel and manipulated the circuits inside. The doors opened. "Going down," she said with nervous humor. Deep underground, they found a vast room filled with data terminals and storage units. The sign on the wall read, "Terra Incident, Classified Archives." "This is it," breathed Silvor. "The real story." Orby quickly bypassed a terminal security. The screen filled with documents, videos, and analysis reports from 150 years ago. "Look at this," he said, opening a strategic assessment. "A coalition of galactic powers tried to take control of Earth, thinking humans would surrender when faced with superior forces." Kernash leaned closer. "What happened?" Orby played a video recording. It showed a human military leader addressing his forces. "They expect us to surrender. They don't understand what humans do when cornered. We will show them." The next videos shocked the students into silence. Human soldiers fighting despite terrible injuries. Civilian populations converting everyday objects into weapons. children running messages through battlefields, elderly humans mixing chemicals to make explosives. This isn't normal warfare, whispered Elira. They turned their entire species into a fighting force. Phi Lumen accessed battle statistics. The coalition outnumbered humans 50 to 1 in ships, weapons, and troops. Yet after 6 months, the coalition had lost 78% of their forces, while humans were building more weapons. Silvor found a psychological analysis. Listen to this. Unlike all known sentient species, humans demonstrate increased combat effectiveness under extreme stress. Where other species become demoralized by losses, humans become more determined and more willing to take risks. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed throughout the facility. "We've been detected," shouted Orby. "Run," yelled Kurnash, heading for the exit. They raced toward the elevator, but security forces poured in from all sides. In the chaos, Kurnash got separated from the group. "Help!" he shouted as guards surrounded him. "We have to go back," cried Elira. "No time." Silvor grabbed her arm. "We'll be caught too." The remaining 5 students barely escaped through an emergency exit. They heard Kurnash roaring as he fought the guards, the sounds fading as heavy doors closed behind them. Back at their hotel, they stared at each other in shock. "They have Kurnash," said Phi Lumen. "And now we know why humans are banned from galactic war," said Orby grimly. "No," said Silvor, "we only know part of it, and we need to rescue Kurnash." Zara, her skin now a determined red, asked the question they were all thinking. "But how?" "We need to split up," said Silvor. "We're too easy to find as a group." The 5 remaining students agreed to meet later. Elira and Phi Lumen found a note Marcus had left them with an emergency contact, Commander Sarah Winters. "It could be a trap," warned Phi Lumen. "We don't have many options," replied Elira. They found the address in an old part of the city. A small house with a garden stood apart from others. An elderly human woman opened the door before they could knock. "I've been expecting you," she said. "Marcus sent a message. I'm Sarah Winters." Inside, the walls were covered with military photos and strange objects that looked like weapons. "You're military?" asked Elira. "Retired," said Sarah. Her hair was white, but her eyes were sharp. "Marcus said you found the archives." "We want to understand," said Phi Lumen. "Why are humans banned from galactic war?" Sarah sat down heavily in a chair. "It's not because we're weak," she said. "It's because we're too good at war." Meanwhile, Silvor, Orby, and Zara tried to find a ship to leave Earth. They entered a transport station but stopped when they saw both human and alien officials checking IDs. "That's a Galactic Council agent," whispered Zara, pointing to a tall blue alien. "They never come to Earth." The 3 students hid behind a pillar. Suddenly, the blue alien spoke loudly to a human official. "The students must be found. They know too much about the quarantine." "Quarantine," whispered Orby. "They're not just banning humans from war, they're keeping them isolated." Back at Sarah's house, the old commander explained more. "Humans evolved on a death world," she said. "Earth has more deadly environments than most galactic planets. We survived by being persistent and adaptable." "But what makes humans so dangerous in war?" asked Elira. "We don't fight to negotiate," said Sarah. "We fight to end threats permanently." She showed them a historical display on her wall. Other species wage war like it's politics or sport. For humans, it's survival. We don't understand proportional response. "What does that mean?" asked Phi Lumen. "When threatened, aliens try to establish dominance, then balance. Humans escalate until the threat is eliminated completely." Sarah's eyes grew distant. "During the Terra incident, aliens expected us to surrender when they destroyed 2 cities. Instead, every human on Earth joined the fight." At the transport station, the 3 hiding students overheard more. "Humans possess what we call adaptive extremism. The council agent explained to the human official. They rapidly escalate violence beyond rational limits while simultaneously developing new strategies under pressure. Is that really so dangerous? Asked the human. Your people reverse-engineered our most advanced weapons in months, said the alien. Weapons we took centuries to develop, and you improved them. I don't understand why that means we should be kept away from galactic society, the human argued. Because, the alien replied, the Council fears what would happen if humans ever became the dominant military force in the galaxy. You don't seek balance. You seek total victory, regardless of cost. The three students looked at each other in shock. The pieces were coming together. They're afraid of us, Zara whispered, her skin turning a surprised blue color. No, said Silvor. They're terrified. That evening, all 5 students met at Commander Winter's house. They shared what they had learned. We need to rescue Kurnash, said Zara. He's our friend. Breaking into a government facility is dangerous, warned Sarah. They'll be expecting you now. The door opened, and Marcus walked in. The students jumped up in alarm. You, shouted Orby. You tricked us. Marcus raised his hands. I did my job. I was assigned to watch you. Your military intelligence, accused Silvor. Major Chen, not Professor Chen. Marcus nodded. Yes, I monitor potential security breaches related to the Terra incident. Are you here to arrest us? Asked Phi Lumen, her transparent body flashing with fear colors. No, said Marcus, surprising them. I'm here to help you rescue your friend. The students stared in confusion. The truth shouldn't be buried, Marcus explained. What happened was terrible, but the Prohibition has created dangerous myths. Both sides are living in fear based on secrets. Sarah nodded in agreement. The galaxy fears humans as monsters. Humans resent being treated as children. Marcus spread a map on the table. Kurnash is being held here, at a security facility outside the city. I can get us in, but we'll need each of your special abilities. They planned carefully. Orby would disable security systems. Zara would use her camouflage to scout ahead. Phi Lumen could pass through walls to unlock doors. Silvor would use her analytical skills to navigate. Elira would talk their way past any guards they couldn't avoid. What about you? Silvor asked Marcus. I'll handle any situation that requires force, he said quietly. They waited until midnight to approach the facility. At first, everything went according to plan. Orby disabled the outer cameras. Zara sneaked ahead and reported no guards in the first corridor. Phi Lumen passed through a solid door to unlock it from inside. Too easy, whispered Silvor nervously. She was right. As they reached the second level, alarms blared. Security doors slammed shut. Guards appeared from hidden rooms. It's a trap, shouted Elira. What happened next shocked the students. Marcus changed completely. His friendly expression disappeared. His movements became fast and precise. When 2 guards rushed toward them, Marcus moved with a speed and efficiency that seemed impossible. This way, he called after securing the corridor. They ran through the facility, following Silvor's memorized map. More guards appeared. Marcus protected them, fighting with calculated movements that took down opponents without killing them. Now I understand the archives, whispered Zara. Humans in combat are different creatures. They found Kurnash in a cell, looking angry but unharmed. Phi Lumen phased through the door and unlocked it. What took you so long? Grumbled Kurnash. As they escaped through maintenance tunnels, more guards blocked their exit. Marcus positioned himself between the students and the danger. Go, he ordered. I'll hold them off. The students hesitated. Trust me, Marcus said. This is what humans do best. In the fight that followed, Marcus was badly injured. A guard's weapon cut deep into his side. The students watched in horror as blood soaked his clothes, but Marcus kept fighting, seemingly ignoring his wounds. When they finally escaped, Marcus stumbled. Blood dripped onto the ground. "How are you still standing?" asked Kernash in amazement. Marcus smiled weakly. "Like I said, what humans do best." "He needs medical help," said Illyra, looking at Marcus's wound with concern. "Not a hospital," Marcus said through gritted teeth. "They'll report us." "Back to Sarah's house," suggested Philumen. When they arrived, Sarah quickly cleared her table and gathered medical supplies. She worked fast, cleaning and treating Marcus's deep wound. "You should be unconscious from pain," she told him, shaking her head. "I've had worse," Marcus replied, but his face was pale. Kernash watched with new respect. "Why did you help us? You could have let them keep me prisoner." "Because this secrecy is wrong," Marcus answered. "Both sides need the truth." Sarah finished bandaging Marcus and turned to the students. "Now you need the full story, the actual events of the Terra incident." She brought out a small device and placed it on the table. A hologram appeared, showing space battles from long ago. "When the Galactic Coalition attacked Earth, we were outmatched," she began. "Their technology was centuries ahead of ours. They destroyed 2 major cities as a show of force, expecting surrender. The hologram showed ruined cities with thousands of wounded civilians. But instead of giving up," Sarah continued, "humans activated something called Protocol Thermopylae, our last resort defense plan." "What was that?" asked Ordy. "Everyone fights," said Sarah simply. "Every human became part of the war effort. Children made weapons in schools. Elderly people formed spy networks. Scientists worked day and night to understand alien technology. The hologram showed humans of all ages working together with fierce determination. The coalition expected us to become demoralized and surrender," Sarah explained. "That's what most species do when facing overwhelming odds." "But humans don't," said Silvor, understanding now. "No," agreed Sarah. "We become more committed as things get worse. We call it backs against the wall psychology." The hologram showed human ships attacking alien vessels with strange tactics. Human soldiers charged into battles they couldn't possibly win, yet somehow did. "Within 3 months, we had reverse-engineered captured alien technology," Sarah continued. "Within 6 months, we had improved it." "That's impossible," said Kernash. "Advanced weapons take centuries to develop." "Not when every human scientist on the planet works on nothing else," said Marcus, sitting up despite his pain. "Not when children are dying and extinction seems certain." The hologram showed the coalition forces retreating as human ships pursued them. By the end of the conflict, the coalition had lost nearly 80% of their fleets, said Sarah. Meanwhile, humans were building more weapons and ships every day, even with many cities in ruins. "So you weren't banned because you're monsters," said Illyra. "We were banned because we refused to lose, even when we should," Sarah finished. "The galactic powers realized any species with our combination of traits, adaptability, psychological resilience, and absolute commitment to victory, would eventually dominate all galactic military affairs. It wasn't just fear," added Marcus. "It was self-preservation. The galaxy couldn't risk humans becoming the dominant military force." The students sat in stunned silence, finally understanding. "But now what?" asked Zora. "We know the truth, but what can we do with it?" Before anyone could answer, they heard vehicles stopping outside. Lights flashed through the windows. "Galactic Council forces," said Sarah, looking out. "They found you." "We're surrounded," said Zara, her skin turning a pale, frightened yellow. Sarah peered through the window. "There's nowhere to run." The students looked at each other, their adventure seemingly at its end. Marcus struggled to stand despite his injury. Suddenly, all communication devices in the house activated at once. The stern face of Professor Zextrol appeared on every screen. "Attention, Galactic Council forces," the professor's voice boomed. "Stand down immediately. This is an authorized academy educational exercise." The students stared in shock. "What's happening?" asked Kernash. Outside, the council forces hesitated. Their commander spoke with someone over a communication device, then signaled his troops to lower their weapons. The door opened, and Professor Zextrol walked in, looking calm. "Professor," gasped Elira, "what are you doing here?" "Completing your education," he replied. "All of you, please sit down." As they gathered around Sarah's table, the professor explained everything. "This was never just a research assignment," he said. "It was a carefully designed educational experience, approved by both the Academy and the Galactic Council." "You set us up?" asked Silvor, her silver skin flashing with anger. "I selected 6 students who represent the next generation of galactic leadership," the professor continued. "Future diplomats, military strategists, scientists, and politicians. You needed to understand humanity beyond propaganda and simplified explanations. So Marcus, Commander Winters, everything was planned?" asked Phi Lumen. "The archives were real," said Marcus. "The Terra incident happened exactly as Sarah described. But yes, your discovery of them was guided." "Why go to such lengths?" asked Orby. "Because the galaxy is changing," said Professor Zextrol. "For too long, the prohibition against humans has created dangerous misunderstandings. Humans aren't banned because they're savages. They're banned because integrating their unique approach to warfare would fundamentally change how the galaxy functions." 2 days later, the students presented their findings at an Emergency Academy summit. Representatives from the Galactic Council listened as each student shared what they had learned. Kurnash, who had most dismissed humans at the beginning, spoke most passionately. "Humans don't fight like we do because they evolved facing extinction-level threats without advanced technology," he explained. "Their seemingly irrational strategies are adaptations we never needed to develop." After hours of discussion, the Council reached a historic decision. Humans would remain excluded from direct combat roles, but a new program would establish human advisors for peacekeeping operations. 1 month later, the first class of human military consultants arrived at the Academy. The 6 students, now recognized experts on the human question, welcomed them as instructors. Elira, who would later become ambassador to Earth, walked with Marcus in the Academy gardens. "The galaxy feared humans because they misunderstood them," she said. "What makes humans dangerous isn't that they're good at war. It's that they're equally committed to peace afterward." Marcus nodded. "We fight without limits, but once victory is achieved, we rebuild what was destroyed, even for former enemies." "That's your species' true strength," said Elira. "Not your ability to wage war, but your capacity to end it properly." As they watched students from 20 species learning together, Marcus smiled. "The galaxy saw our ruthlessness in war, but missed our capacity for reconciliation. Both come from the same source, our understanding that survival requires not just defeating enemies, but turning them into allies," Elira finished.